Hello, I'm Dennis, the guy behind ACD Unlimited. Most of you might know me from some certain pedal upgrades and also the Darwin and Phantom series, which was my main focus for more or less the past decade. Before that, I also used to make snare drums, mostly made of broad staff snares. So the idea was basically to make something different, unique, and as independent as possible. So back in the days, I made wooden staff shell snare drums, but also combined them with my hardware. But then slowly the focus shifted towards all the pedals modifications, which have now a core fan base I really, really appreciate, and it was lovely. And out of this fan base, combined with some certain ideas, people that know my background, there was always the idea to maybe make a snare drum again. And those who know me also noticed that I didn't want to do something out of the ordinary and try to follow a different approach. And this might be the introduction to my little snare drum project. The nickname, stick to it, it's called An Approach because it's just an approach towards a new snare drum concept. So snare drums can be made from metal, can be made from wood. Usually it's a shell connected with some hardware. My idea basically was to take the concept of a staff shell snare drum, or maybe also a segmented snare drum, and bring all of these characteristics into a metal shell. So all of these individual pieces you see are machined from aluminium. It's the same alloy as the Darwin and Phantom series carry. They are then surface treatment and anodized to gain a very rigid and durable surface structure. And all of these individual segments are permanently connected and interlocked with lots of pressure, tight tolerances in order to form this shell. All the hardware necessary is carried on the outside, so there are no distractions on the inside, in order to have it as accurate, as round, as homogenic as possible. The interesting thing is, if you would take an entire aluminium block and machine everything out of it in order to create the same shape, it mostly wouldn't work because it would twist and warp. So there would be always tension because also aluminium carries a certain degree of tension. The nice thing about this concept is it has a certain degree of modularity when it comes to the assembly, but mainly you have the rigidity of a metal snare drum, you have the wall thickness of a close to a wooden shell snare drum. Then on the other hand, you have zero tension structurally, so you have lots of low-end tune within the shell as it is. And this, as it happens to be, creates so much dynamics. So figured it out on the way, because the first idea was like, can it be done? Let's try it and figure out later how it sounds. And actually the nice thing about it, it has so much range. You can get a low end with lots of bass, of volume, like you know it from a staff snare drum, a staff snare drum, which usually doesn't also carry much tension within, but due to the standing grains has lots of rigidity. On the other hand, you have so much overtone, but also so much control over the overtone. And this is such a lovely thing to have something unique that also offers a unique sound, a unique range of sound. The initial prototype happened about 2 years ago, the shell and everything. The most time until we reached this was the hoop, because I wanted to have something that matches the rest of the shell. So the hoop might look as it would be just a tube or maybe a bass drum hoop. I heard several different things about it, but it's basically a segmented, seamless hoop. So all of these little parts you see are also individually machined and then, similar to the snare drum, permanently interlocked in order to create something without carrying any tension that's as accurate as it can be from a machined standard, but also carries lots of mass and volume, like you might know it from a wooden hoop or also from a die-cast hoop. Still, it offers the control and flexibility when it comes to individual tuning, especially on the snare side, as you might know it from a thin flange tube. That's the very nice thing about it. It carries so much potential from all worlds, and it all happened on accident because this is basically the way it developed over time, how I can make this hoop. And I just down the line thought figure out what it does, how it sounds. And it's so lovely to see that it also carries so much versatility, and all of that combined is just a lovely coincidence, I like to call it. Because everything is machined and anodized, there's also, similar to the Darwin and Phantom pedals, there is the option to do some engravings, there is the option to do some custom anodizing. So, for example, for a friend of mine, I made a shell combined with golden, black, and purple parts, which is super, super interesting. This is now a 14 by 6 inch. In theory, it would be possible to also create a 13-inch snare drum. It would be possible to create a 14 by 4.5, a 14 by 7.5. With a certain degree of modularity in mind. I honestly don't know where this project is going to heading, but we will figure it out. If there's anything worth mentioning, I definitely forgotten so many things I wanted to tell you about the snare drums, but if anything comes up, if you have any questions, please feel always most welcome to reach out. And whenever there's anything I can do for you, you know how to find me.